Hey everyone, this is Dusty Amatangelo with Florida Building Inspection Group, and we're here today with Ask a Pro. And boy, do I have a pro for you today. This is a topic that we all want to hear more about. So I have invited Miss Lindsey O'Donnell with Florida Best Quote to come be our guest. Say hi, Lindsey.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Dusty. Thank you for having me on today.
You're welcome. So Lindsay's waiting for the second baby arrival. So
I am getting very close. Yes, 5 weeks to go.
we are very thankful that he has not decided to arrive early.
You
So,
and me both.
so anyway, we wanted to invite you on here because, everything that we've seen and that we've experienced, even as homeowners, we are finding that insurance rates have just gone up and up and up. I know there's a couple of different factors that have kind of come into play. We've lost carriers, so on and so forth. So you want to give us just kind of like an update of like the last 2 or 3 years and exactly what has been going on in the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been a heck of a ride the last 2 or 3 years. And I know we're all feeling the heat from it with carriers going out of business, rates going through the roof, non-renewals, carriers canceling you, telling people they need to replace 5-year-old roofs, things like that. The biggest reason that we've come across this situation and we've gotten into this issue with insurance is because of roofing fraud that's been occurring in the last 3 years, the majority of it. The hurricanes have not helped any situation at all, but the roofing fraud is the biggest issue there. We've had a lot of things going on legislatively that have resulted in an ability for someone to knock on a door, say, would you like a free roof? And that contractor then takes over the rights to the policy, and they're just going straight to suing the insurance company. Next thing you know, the insured gets a $20,000 roof and their attorney's making $400,000 on the claim. We actually, in our office, have a case of someone got $30,000 and their attorney got $250,000.
So let's talk a minute about assignment of benefits. Is that the clause that you're referring to, right? So what does that actually mean? Because that's in anything that you do. If you're remediating your home and they say we do assignment of benefit, it's not a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. So explain a little bit, Lindsey.
It's not. It was meant to be. With most of the laws that went into place that got us here, they had good intentions behind them. The assignment of benefits was to say that if a contractor came in, they took over the rights to the home insurance policy. So that way, if money was paid out towards repairs, the contractor would have the right to that money first. And it would protect them from basically having a homeowner take the money and walk away, or take the money and not pay them. However, it created an environment where there were a lot of people who could get very wealthy taking advantage of the system, unfortunately. So it's resulted in now, you sign that document and you have no control whatsoever. We've had a lot of clients who have said, I didn't realize what I was signing. And now they're suing an insurance company they didn't realize was happening. They're filing a claim they didn't realize was happening, and they've got no control. So that was definitely something that became a major issue, and it hurt a lot of people, and it really hurt the carriers. They can rate for getting new roofs when they need to be replaced when they're damaged by a hurricane that comes through. They cannot apply rate for paying for an attorney, $300,000, or and the issue there that they were getting so much money is what we call attorney fee multipliers. So they were able to apply for an attorney fee multiplier so they could charge up to 3 times their standard rate. And that's why they were getting so much money there. So it just created a perfect opportunity for a lot of fraud and a lot of abuse of the system. And unfortunately, it bankrupted a lot of insurance companies. And, they've been paying, they in 2020 and 2021, they lost $1.7 billion and $1.5 billion respectively. And most of that went into attorneys' pockets, not our homeowners.
Wow. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, assignment of benefits, if you're working with a company that says that they offer us, or the only way they do business is assignment of benefits, walk away, right? That's not the way we want to do business today. It does leave a loophole, and it's not healthy for the industry. And the only people who start filling it is who? Right here, right there, right?
Homeowners. Yeah. Our average home insurance premium is now $4,200 a year. So again, like I said, a lot of the legislation that was in place that allowed this was to protect homeowners. But now we're paying $4,200 a year. The same people we were trying to protect from being able to afford their homes now can't afford their homes because the insurance is too pricey. So Unfortunately, we got to this point. The good news, though, because
We do have good news, right? We
we
do have good
do.
news.
We always want to focus on that, is that we finally got the legislative action we needed to help the situation. So in December, now I'm going to back it up a little bit. We did have Hurricane Ian happen right before this. So Hurricane Ian has kind of really rocked the insurance industry in general as well when it was already in trouble. However, we did have the legislative action passed in December. We've gotten rid of assignment of benefits claims. We've gotten rid of one-way attorney fees. So now if you go to sue your insurance company, you both have to pay for attorneys. It's no longer the insurance company just pays for your attorney 100%. They've shortened the deadline to file a claim. It used to be 2 years. Now it's 1 year. And the deadline for filing a supplemental claim has gone from 3 years down to 18 months. So that will really help with door knocking. We had people door knocking 3 years after Irma saying, you probably have hurricane damage on your roof. Would you like a free one? And we've also gotten rid of the I may have said this already, so sorry, baby brain, but the assignment of benefits. So you got to keep me on track, Dusty. So there's been a lot of movement to help with the litigation issues that we've had and help give the insurance companies some reprieve so they can go back to just being insurance companies.
Okay.
No other state has the same issue with roofing claims like Florida does. And it's just basically been the laws that have gotten us there. So finally, we've got a breath of fresh air. The one thing is that with Hurricane Ian, we are looking at probably 2024 to 2025 before we really see significant improvement.
Okay.
But in the meantime, we are seeing carriers start to, dip their toes in the water, start to think about opening some markets. We hear rumblings of a new carrier wanting to open up here and there. So they are seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, which means we can too. Which is why I always tell everybody, what's happening right now is not forever. Our market was this hard in 2010. It was difficult. There was nowhere to go. Citizens was the only option. We got through it and we went to a great insurance market around 2015. We will get back there. It's just going to take a little bit of time. So the rates hurt right now. The premiums hurt right now. It's difficult right now, but it will get better.
Yeah. So just say in 2020, the average premium was what?
I'd go back to like 2019, probably, depending on where you were, $1,800 to $2,300 a year. So it's doubled, and we felt that. Yeah.
And to be fair to the insurance industry, and we're not trying to hurt anybody out there. So I just want to be clear about that. We're talking about a topic, right? To be fair to the insurance industry, if Hurricane Ian came through and did the damage that they did, and they did a ton, and still my heart goes out to all the people that live in the Fort Myers area. You saw some serious devastation. But, when you have something like that and it's such a catastrophic loss, that might be something that you can recover from, but not if you have insurance fraud on top of all of that. And so that's what's really been hurting your industry. And not been doing any favors to the actual homeowner themselves, right?
Right, exactly.
Well, we're happy to hear that carriers are at least willing to dip their toes back into the state of Florida.
They're thinking about it. We've got to be optimistic here. It will get there.
All right. So, Lindsey, on this topic, is there anything else legislative-wise that we need to kind of just hit on a quick note?
That pretty much about sums up the general gist of it. It's just kind of, let's keep an eye out for things getting better, and if we're working with buyers who are panicking because rates are so high, or if you're talking to a homeowner, the best thing we can do is shop around, take a look. There are still carriers writing, there are still options. There are carriers who will look at older roofs and solutions and things like that. So it's really imperative to be partnering with a great insurance company that has all the options, which Florida Best Quote does. We have more carrier options than most agencies, just to make sure we can get people homeowners insurance and keep them in their homes and keep it as affordable as possible. So make sure you're working with a trusted partner there to get through the next couple of years while we wait for our rates to at least get a bit better.
Adjust a little bit. Yeah. So for sure. And so I wanted to kind of ask you about one other topic. So we talked hurricanes just a minute ago, and I think we are in hurricane season as of yesterday. Am I right?
The first, as of June 1st.
Okay.
Yes.
So in the insurance world, what actually happens when a named storm is named, and what happens to your world? Just talk a little bit about that.
is it flips upside down, a kosher answer. So if you had asked me this question pre-Irma, I would have said that pretty much it's when the storm gets inside the box, which means that it's 72 hours out and we have a watch or warning for any part of Florida, is when carriers would start to shut down. With Irma, where we had a massive storm barreling down for a week and news stories all over the place talking about it coming, that was the first time we really started to see the entire market shut down a week in advance before we even knew where it was going, what was happening. And what that just means is, so when you're going to get an insurance policy in place, we call that binding the policy, binding the coverage.
Yep.
When there's a storm coming and the carriers don't want to have someone panic buying insurance just to get through a storm and then cancel it, they stop the binding process. They put a moratorium on new business and they won't let us bind anything moving forward. So previously we knew exactly when to expect that. And it was when that storm was in the box that they call it. Now, because hurricanes have become somewhat sensationalized and you can hear about them for so long and it becomes kind of a scare factor leading up to it, you have more people panic buying insurance, which has resulted in more carriers starting to shut down earlier. Yep. So really it comes down to, as soon as we start to see a storm that is projected to even look at Florida potentially, we could have carriers start to put moratoriums out there and stop the binding process. So what that means, especially if you're in the middle of buying a home or switching insurance, or if you've been non-renewed, which that's the flip side of what's been going on, is a lot of carriers have been having to get rid of policies on their books so they can stay in business. And so what they do is they non-renew them. So you have a lot of people who are just suddenly losing coverage or needing to get coverage in place. If there's a storm suddenly showing up, if Dennis Phillips is talking about that storm headed towards Florida, we really need to get on the process of getting coverage in place and binding that coverage as quickly as possible. Because if they put those moratoriums in place, there's nothing we can do until after the storm.
Okay. So agents, if you're listening, right, what is the best practice, Lindsey, when it comes to when should an agent who's working with a buyer actually apply to get coverage? So maybe share a little bit about that.
Yes, absolutely. It's imperative during hurricane season. It really should happen year round, but especially during hurricane season, insurance should become part of the due diligence process at the very beginning. You go under contract on a home, you get that 4-point and wind mitigation inspection done immediately along with your home inspection. I would always recommend a home inspection. However, we agents only need the 4-point and wind mit. Get those done immediately, and those should be sent to an insurance agent to review. And the buyer should be discussing insurance in their own personal risks with an insurance agent immediately. The thing to keep in mind is a lot of people are coming from out of state. In other states, you can pretty much just get insurance like that. You don't need inspections, you don't need pictures, they don't need a whole lot of information. You just buy, once you get a quote, you bind it and you're good to go, you've got coverage. So a lot of people are not used to the way Florida works. They get a quote from an insurance agent and they think it's basically a binding process or a binder and they're ready to go. So we just need to educate them that insurance does not work like that in Florida. There's a lot of factors. If the seller had claims, if the buyer had claims at different locations, your precious pit bull at home, things like that can impact our ability to bind a policy. So not only do we need those inspections to review right up front, we also need to talk to the insured right up front, the buyer, and make sure that we've got a policy that will work for them. And the quote that we've put together is accurate. And then we want to get everything ready to go. If we need repairs on the 4-point, we've got to get those done right away. And then we need the EOI request from the lender, which just means the lender is sending us the information they need for the policy. We get all that together and we can submit the application for binding right away. So it really should be done in the first 2 weeks of the process, not waiting until the last 2 weeks.
How true. How true. So you have an inspection period. When you schedule your inspection, schedule your quote and start the binding process. So that's really the best piece of information that I think that we could give you today. So listen, I had one question. I had somebody call me yesterday and ask me, and this is just completely off the cuff, but polybutylene, how is that being perceived in the insurance world? Do you have carriers who will cover it, or is that a complete replumb?
It's extremely difficult. We used to have more carriers that would. Unfortunately, a good portion of them have gone out of business. We lost 7 to 10 carriers in the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
So the options that we did have are mostly gone. We have a couple. The issue is that they'll only cover it with water damage completely excluded. So then you've got to talk to a buyer and say you're getting into a home with plumbing that has known issues, and you're not going to have any water damage coverage if something does happen from those pipes. So it's
Okay.
really not an ideal situation. We can usually find a way to get you through closing, but I would highly recommend always looking at a replumb.
All right. Terry Husband, I hope you're listening because I just answered your question for you.
Let me know if you have any other questions, Terry. It's, where Florida Best Quote is here for you. We don't ever tell someone that a house is uninsurable. We'll find a way. The premium might be high, but if someone really wants to get in a home, we'll find a way to get them in the home. We'll find a way to work through 4-point issues. Anything that we've got going on, we will find a solution. And so, and we've always got the answers. We stay on top of all this information, everything going on. Our agents are knowledgeable. There's been a lot going on with Citizens. So also, if you see a Citizens quote, make sure you're working with a trusted insurance agent and also getting things done quickly. But we're just here to help, and we'll answer any questions as well at any time. So.
All right. So, Lindsey, thank you so much. We've chased each other down for 3 days now. We finally made it happen. So
Yes.
thank you. Thank you for your patience. And hey, listen, next week, join me on Friday at noon. I have, jeepers. We're going to talk about the new condo laws and how they're going to affect you. I've got Michael Wyckoff coming in from Ingalls and Volkers, and he has some great information to share. So don't miss me next Friday at noon. And if this is airing right now, I really apologize. I was really hoping it went live on Friday at noon because that's when we do Ask a Pro. But whatever it is, we will see you next week. And thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye.